Hi, I'm Mark Bouchard, and this is my channel, Police Mentors, and I'm going to help you today with how to pass your police interview. The reason I can help you, I have 18 years law enforcement experience, and I've actually sat on the other side of these interviews. Obviously, I've done them as an applicant myself, and I've worked for 2 different agencies, but I've also been a police officer conducting interviews of police applicants. So I'm going to share some of the insights I learned from doing that to help you better prepare for yours. So the first thing you can expect is that everything is judged. That goes right from your appearance to when you show up to how you act, how you speak, how you hold yourself. One of the terms that we use in policing is called officer presence, and it really just means how you show up, what the perception is of you, how do you speak, do you speak clearly, how do you introduce yourself, do you go up and shake someone's hands and look them in the eye, or is it that you're just lacking confidence? Because when you show up to a scene, you're going to have to show up and take charge. And people are going to have to listen to you. So you're going to have to act in an assertive manner where they're going to need to listen to you. And they're going to want to see some of that kind of mannerism from you. So the second thing we're going to talk about is how to prepare. So what I did when I got ready for mine, and I find it works great, is you want to have an idea of what they're going to ask you, the kind of questions they'll ask you. And so you want to think of like behavioral questions. Basically, the best predictor for future behavior, which is what they're concerned about, is your past relevant behavior. So rather than, making up a question of what would you do if this, here's what you can expect. Tell me about a time that, and then they're going to ask you a question that draws from the things you've already done. Because they want to know what you've done in the past, and that's going to be their best predictor of what you'll do in the future. So what you should do is have some stories already ready for you to speak about. Okay, so that's what I did. I came in and I already knew a handful of stories and that touch on key points. Because what do they need from people? They need someone, they need to talk about decision making, about flexibility, about stress tolerance, ability to deal with violent situations, effective communication. So if you can have a story that can touch on numerous different points. So they can say, tell me about a time that you dealt with a dangerous situation. And you can go to the same story where you dealt with a challenging person. Maybe you dealt with like a aggressive panhandler who's getting in your face and was becoming violent. Now you had to use effective communication. Now you had to show some stress tolerance. So you could get asked different questions and they could still pull back to the same stories or similar stories. So if you have a handful of those kind of stories ready, if you think about your life and the experiences you've had, those can you can draw from those lessons, and you're going to try and pull the attributes that you think that they would want or that you want to help show that make them know that you're ready for this. All right, step 3. Now we're going to talk about actually showing up. So first thing, make sure not only you're on time, but you're a little bit early. Don't show up an hour early. Honestly, that's kind of weird, but you want to be like 15 minutes early, maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes at the most. You want to show that you're reliable. There's certain things you're going to be communicating verbally in the stories you tell them, and there's certain things you're going to be communicating in how you act. That's partly how you speak. That's partly when you show up. That's partly how professional you look, that you make sure you put on a suit, you've shaved, like you look like you're professional and presentable. But it's also going to be how you speak, right? And then once you typically you're going to be waiting, someone come get you, they'll bring you in the room, come around, introduce yourself, shake people's hands, look them in the eye, introduce your name, try and remember their name. Like actually take a second in your brain to try and remember their rank, their title, their name, so that you can refer to them each individually. Again, that's a really good skill for you to be able to demonstrate. If you can know ahead of time who is going to be interviewing you, even better. You may not get that. You also are likely to have some high-ranking people in there. It would be normal that you'd have some high-ranking officers interviewing you because it's an important decision for the department. The next point they're going to ask you is, tell us about yourself. So have a little bit of a bio ready to go. Know who you are, where you're from, what's important to you, how you identify, what do you want to talk about. For me, I applied to the department where I grew up. So, hey, I'm from here. I want to be here. I grew up playing sports here. I grew up going to school here. My family still lives here. You show ties to the community. That's a big thing. Some of these departments, they hire people and then honestly the people leave, right? They hire someone and a year later they leave, they go to another agency. Well, they've just invested a lot of money in you. They don't want to see you leave. So if you can show the ties to the community, that's a huge thing. But also, are you a father, a husband, a spouse? What are your hobbies? What are you into? How do you like to stay active? There's certain key things they're going to want out of those officers coming in. One of those is things like fitness. They're going to want to hear that fitness is a part of your life. So what is it you like to do? If you play a team sport, if you like to run, if you like to lift weights, include some element of activity. If you have a background with education, for me, I have an undergrad degree at the time, got a master's degree by the time I went to my second police agency. So tell them about it. Tell them what you did for your schooling. Tell them why you chose it so that they can get a feel for who you are. So another question you're likely to get, and I alluded to it here, is the why here question. You need to know something about the community. You should know something about the department. You should know what kind of size it is. You should know how they work. Do they ride one-person car? Do they ride a two-person car on patrol? Are most of their spots just a frontline, uniformed? Do they have investigative sections? How many districts do they have? How many officers do they have? What kind of supports do they have? The more you know, the more it shows that you're the kind of person who prepares, who knows what they're doing, and honestly, that you're the kind of person you want. Because when I've sat on the other side and someone doesn't know anything about our agency, we're not hiring you. Honestly, if you can't bother to know about us, you don't really want to be here. You just want a job, and you're not likely going to stay. So take the time to get to know the community and the department that you're applying to. Another question you're going to get asked is why policing? And that's something you need to know. Your why is really important. I'll tell you what my why was. I watched my parents' business getting broken into all the time. Couldn't tell you how many times they got broken into. Someone actually drove a vehicle through the front of my dad's business, and it lived right on the main street that bordered our community and the neighboring community. They would steal vehicles right out of the parking lot of his business. So I just wanted to do something about it, honestly. And I wanted to help people. I wanted to help people in the community, and that was my way. Of all the interviews I've ever done, that's what I've always heard, is they want to help people. The reasons are different, but we get into this profession because we want to help people. Later on, we joke about it. We kind of make fun of each other that, you want to help people. But truly, that is what brings us into this profession. And that's what they want. They want someone who's going to come here and help their community be a better place. So you want to make sure they understand you're coming in to find a way to make this community better. So from there, then you're going to get into some of these behavioral questions. So they're going to ask you to reference times when you've done things. So as they ask a question, maybe it says, tell me about a time you showed some flexibility. Tell me about a time you had to make a hard decision. Tell me about a time you dealt with a dangerous person. Tell me about a time that you had to use effective communication. Tell me about a time you had conflict with someone at work. So you're going to want to have answers to these kind of questions, and you're going to have different stories, right? And ultimately, if you don't have any of these kind of experiences, you may not have the life experience to be the person they're looking for. But most likely, you can look back into your past and you can find times that you've shown these kind of things and then tell that story. So take 2 minutes or 5 minutes, paint a picture for what was going on and focus on what you did, right? There's a STAR example: situation, task, action, and result. That's what you want to do. Tell them what was happening, tell them, what you did, and then tell them what happened. And hopefully there's a positive outcome or something that makes you look good at the end of the day. And then you have the conclusion. So at the end, they're often going to ask you, is there anything you'd like to ask us? Do you have anything to add? For me personally, I would just leave with thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm really excited and I can't wait to hear back. Personally, I don't really think it's the time to go ask a ton of questions. Hopefully you've already done your research. So just thank them for the opportunity. If that's the end, go around, you can shake everyone's hand and say thank you once again. And then you can leave and wait to hear back. Okay, so leave a comment down in the comments section and tell me if this was helpful. Also tell me what else you'd want to know. If there's something else that I didn't cover, and also let me know about your experience, what helped, what didn't, and I can try and make another video to cover anything else that you need. Okay, thank you. Good luck.